We've got 2-star pitchers and sleeper hitters up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Friday, July 21st. I am Frank Sanford, joined by Scott White, and let's get into our Week 18 preview. The schedule for next week: 6 teams have 5 games. That includes the Rays, Cubs, Braves, Marlins, Yankees, and A's. 20 teams have 6 games, and 4 teams have 7 games next week. The Nationals, Cardinals, Tigers, and Guardians. Scott, let's get into your 2-star pitchers to add and stream. We have 8 names on this list, and they're pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think they're interesting. The most interesting of all, I would have to say, is Kenta Maeda, who goes against the Mariners and at the Royals. 2 really enticing matchups after coming off a terrific start in which he struck out 9. And in fact, 2 of his last 3 starts have been amazing. And in fact, if you take out one start he had this year where he allowed 10 earned runs, it was right before he went on the IL with a triceps injury. So you have to think it affected him in that start. If you take that 10-run start out for Maeda, he has a 3.20 ERA, 107 whip, 11 K per 9 this year. Looking a lot like the guy who finished second in the AL Cy Young race in the shortened 2020 season. But still, Maeda's looking great. 2 great matchups this week. Aaron Savale is going against the Royals and at the White Sox. Those matchups are nice. Dean Kramer at Philadelphia versus New York Yankees, who stink without Aaron Judge. Kramer, obviously pretty volatile pitcher, but when he's on, he goes deep into games and has a great supporting cast. That's why he has 10 wins on the year. So hopefully he can hold his own against the Phillies and then carve up the Yankees. Logan Allen against the Royals at the White Sox. Another good matchup. Another good pair of matchups there. Edouard Cabrera at the Rays the first time, but then he gets the Tigers in his second start. This is a bit further down the rankings, by the way. Not as confident in him, but he came back from the IL recently and has good strikeout potential, does Edouard Cabrera. So at least against that Tigers matchup, he looks like a good play. Kyle Hendricks at the White Sox at the Cardinals. Michael Lorenzen coming off a terrific 3-start stretch where he's allowed 8 hits in a little over 18 innings. Pretty impressive stuff from Michael Lorenzen. Don't totally buy into it, but he has 2 starts this week against the Angels at the Marlins. And then Griffin Canning at the Tigers at the Blue Jays. It's possible that the Angels stick with the 6-man rotation despite all the off days they have coming up. And so Canning only ends up making 1 start, but even if he makes 1 start, it'll be at Detroit. So still a decent play either way.
The single start streamers that we have here: Seth Lugo versus the Pirates, Grayson Rodriguez versus the Yankees, and Gavin Williams versus the Royals. Scott, how would you rank those 3 for next week?
Gavin Williams, Grayson Rodriguez are the clear 1 and 2. Lugo a distant 3rd, but Pirates are a good matchup.
And Lugo is a SPARP, so if you're in need of a relief pitcher in a head-to-head points league, Seth Lugo could be out there for you. Let's slide over to the hitters. The best hitter matchups for next week: the Rockies, Guardians, Cardinals, Cubs, and the A's. The worst hitter matchups: Marlins, Red Sox, Pirates, Royals, and the Rays. With that being said, Scott, your 10 sleeper hitters for next week.
So my favorite sleeper hitter is CJ Cron. You mentioned the Rockies have the best matchups. Only 3 of their games are at home against the Nationals pitching staff, which is great. The other 3 games, the ones on the road, are against the A's pitching staff, which is even better for CJ Cron, who's looked like CJ Cron again since coming off the IL. I'm surprised he's as available as he is, given how productive he was in both 2022 and 2021. Got to go with the red-hot Twins duo of Edouard Julien and Alex Kirilloff here, both left-handed hitters. Only 1 lefty on the schedule for the Twins this upcoming week. That impacts Julien most of all, but it helps Kirilloff's chances of sticking in the lineup too. Plus 3 of their games are at Kansas City. That is a mashable pitching staff there. Seiya Suzuki, I like him this week. Good batting average against lefties for the year, and the Cubs have 3 of those on the schedule. Plus, as you already pointed out, the 4th best hitter matchups. Mickey Moniak is a maniac whenever there is a righty on the hill, and that's all the Angels are scheduled to face. this week. So he should start every game and hopefully continue with the big production he's shown against those righties. CJ Abrams, with the Nationals being one of the few teams playing 7 games. I also like Lars Nootbaar, Josh Bell. Jake Fraley, I feel like is a must just because the Reds are facing nothing but righties. And he's still available in like a quarter of CBS leagues. I don't know how Jake Fraley is so available. And then finally, Wilmer Flores. He entered Friday with 4 home runs in his last 4 games. He's playing against both lefties and righties recently. The Giants have some good matchups this week at Detroit for 1, against the A's for 2, and against Boston for 3.
For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.